Welcome to week two. We've had a very lively discussion board in terms of your responses and the dialogue between all of you. I think that when we look at the first few posts, we talk about the need for federal legislation and court cases to help promote special education. I think that uh, Haley really kicked it off by saying that Samuel Howe, um, with them who being a very progressive colonist back in the 1800s, and starting the school for the blind, um, was kind of one of the first times that we as a nation thought of anybody with a disability having the ability to be educated. And I think that we didn't have, and we still don't have, a lot of those forward thinkers like Samuel Howe in the mid to early 1800s. Page also talked about President Kennedy and Rosemary Kennedy, the sister of President Kennedy, and how sometimes it just takes a family member to have kind of a tie or a relation to the impact, being able to see the impact of disability on education. I think Page's experience in the Dominican Republic also really shows how disability, depending on the country or the culture, can really be seen as inferior and not really be given the same opportunities and chances as we have here in the United States. And so that, I think that really helps put things into perspective for a lot of us. I think the other area that Nicole brings up is that we are becoming a more educated society, especially in the United States, in terms of understanding disability and what disability means in education, and that certainly has helped us in terms of knowing what to advocate for and what to legislate for in terms of equal opportunity and fairness. And Kara also talked about kind of a theme that they saw in the text and in the readings around disability and racial inequality. And I would definitely say that you typically, if you see one, you'll see the other, unfortunately. And we know that in areas where we have more students of color, that there is a higher diagnosis of disability. And often it's not for the right reasons. Sometimes it's because of environment, poor nutrition, lead-based paint that can be a factor, or just plain poor instruction because of the lack of resources and the lack of priority that's given to some of those districts where they just don't have the same level of expectation for their students. Switching gears, if we talk about the video, which I think all of you talked about as being very disturbing and alarming. Chris kind of kicked it off, or actually I think Megan kicked it off by talking about the need for CPI training and how that's something that Megan has gone through. Chris has also gone through that training. I think Chris really highlighted that he's only one of two people that are teachers in his school that actually has CPI training, aside from the administrators and guidance counselors, and that there really is a need for and a benefit for all teachers to have that training, especially when we look at the results of what happened in this type of case in the video. Aaron, who works in the general education classroom, talked about behaviors aren't something that are typically a major challenge, but that on occasion when they do happen, they're very disruptive, and not knowing what to do can be very unnerving for a professional working in the field that doesn't work in special education. And Erin also echoed that CPI training would benefit even her general education classroom teaching peers. So I think you've all brought a lot of good points to the table in the discussion. I'm looking forward to week two's discussion, and trying to uh, get more dialogue between. I guess there's 8 of you that are in the class right now, so try to start early in your post, and try to respond to your classmates as the week goes on, and try not to wait to the end, which I know can be challenging. But just as a reminder, try to make a few responses throughout the week, and it will save and also promote a healthier dialogue for the entire week. I look forward to seeing you in the forums.